Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are now joined by Sally Wurr. Excited to have her here. She's an author, a speaker, and so much more from, excuse me, Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Please welcome to the show. Let me get a drink.
Thank you for having me. And yes, it always happens at the most inopportune time. I totally get it.
I know. I apologize. And I have my tea too, but thank you. Please introduce yourself to our listeners while I continue my choking.
Okay, please don't. My name is Sally Wurr, and as you mentioned, I'm an international speaker. I've written lots of books, and I feel like I've had enough life skills now to share with people and help them discover who they really are versus who people tell them they should be.
All right. I know you're known as the storm whisperer. We're going to get to that. But first, it's good to find out more just about you. Tell us a little about your background and how did you become this amazing motivational speaker? Would you mind sharing?
Sure. It's because I get bored. Yeah. Don't let me get bored. And it was something I discovered through my book, writing my book, Power of Awakening, of I never saw myself the way I now see myself as a youngster, right? My parents had their hands full, and I didn't realize that I was such a busy child. And as an adult, clearly I have continued that. But, I was always put in leadership roles ever since back to fourth grade. I can remember being put in charge of a leadership role, and I think that there are tools in our toolbox that we're all born with. But I spent many years as an advanced hair cutter and makeup artist. Then I spent, and still am, I am president and founder of SW Insurance Corp. It's my own company.
Wow.
And I work with CEOs and CFOs of corporations here in Colorado and help them design and prioritize and simplify their benefit programs so that they're better able to attain and retain excellent employees. And then, I was exposed to some good friends of mine, still good friends of mine, back in 2010, 2011, that were authors. And I'd never thought I would ever write.
Wow.
But I was intrigued, right? I was intrigued.
Clearly enough. And then all of a sudden, here you are writing.
Yeah. Well, in 2019, I wrote my first book, Succeed with Purpose. And my whole goal was, gosh, I could go to Amazon and see my name, right? I type in Sally Wurr.
That's so cool.
Pops. And it was so cool. I did nothing with it, right? I did nothing with it. And it was only a couple years ago, 2020, when late 2019, 2020, I have another good friend that I co-wrote a book with called Hold My Crown, Michelle Moroz, and we and our publisher, Perfect Publishing, got together and decided that it was time for another book for Sally to write. And I had several that I was looking at. Power of Awakening was not the first title of that book, but my publisher said, "Hey, Sally, do you think maybe you could write 3 books?" And I'm going, 3 books?
Wow, you're like,
okay, challenge accepted, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had my number, and so I wrote Power of Awakening, which was really my journey. As your listeners don't know this, but my husband was diagnosed with cancer in March of 2020, at the beginning of COVID. And unfortunately, he died 4 months later. It was a very aggressive cancer. And navigating that whole world during a worldwide pandemic, that there was no path, right? There was no path. All you kept hitting were brick walls. And I like to think the universe blessed me and made it as easy as possible to navigate that. And anyway, through all of that, Power of Awakening came out. Second book was Power of Purpose, and third book that'll be out shortly is called Power of Legacy.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And by the way, Sally Wurr, how do we reach you if someone's interested in your work? It's sallywurr.com. That's SALLYWWURR.com. And did you want to share a phone number or any social media pages before we continue?
You know what? If you just Google Sally Wurr, you'll find my Facebook, my Instagram. Really, Facebook is where I'm the busiest. Also LinkedIn. But truly, go to my website. My contact information is there. And I don't usually give out my phone number because
Nope, that's okay.
it's hard enough fielding emails, let alone phone numbers as well. And so for me, it's been a wild journey, in the last 3 years have certainly been eye opening, right? And that's why they call me the storm whisperer, because I've
That's
lived
a
long enough to
to
have
weather any storm. And
a
let's
lot of them.
great. Well, let's dive into your work as a speaker. I know we're going to talk about speaking, coaching, your Zoom empowerment and strategy courses. So let's start there. So the type of speaking, motivational speaking you do, fill us in.
My whole goal is to help people that are spiraling into this. A lot of people are spiraling into this abyss right now because of
Mhm.
the COVID pandemic, right? I like to refer to it as SAD, SAD. They're stressed,
Yes.
angry, and depressed. And
Mhm.
it's up to
Yeah.
those of us that aren't to try to help them that are,
Mhm.
right? Because we all, if we all get underneath, be the wind beneath those wings, right? And we help lift. And so
True.
I'm in that lift. And I've always been a mentor. And so I talk to people about, what happens when life doesn't go according to plan. And we all know
That
life doesn't
happens.
always go the way according to plan. And to know that, the human capacity to recover and survive
Yes.
some of the worst days of your life
Mm,
is is something that just comes by learning from others, right? So
mhm.
that you can take the shortcut versus the long route.
Yep.
And when life is filled with all those potholes, how do you navigate them? And my favorite
Mm.
saying is the problem is not the problem, it's your reaction to the
No
problem, which
problem.
is the
Yeah, you're
problem.
right.
And
Yeah.
so change your reaction. That's one stop. Just change your reaction and
Okay.
panic
Panic.
after.
Yeah, no,
Panic after.
I have kids and it's like always I panic and I scream and they get mad that I yell and I'm like, oh, I need to step it down and I got to change my thinking because it's scaring them and it's making them feel uncomfortable. I don't know how else to act. And I'm like, okay, I got to keep it cool instead of being, why is that left on the kitchen table? Why didn't you clean up your mess? I got to be more like, hey, look at that mess. Oh, wow. Like, right? Is that can I do that? Can I do it?
Yes. You know what? You'll always get more with honey than you do with vinegar, right? I
Yep,
mean, it's
that's true.
and
Yep.
and adults are no different,
True. Yeah, you're right.
you
You're right.
know.
All right. Good. Thank you. All right. We'll work on that one. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yes. And how old are your children?
6 and 8, 6 and 8. So they're
Okay.
young. They're young for sure.
They're still in the negotiation phase and they're still learning how to negotiate with you. My daughter's an adult, but being an only child, she was really good at
Negotiating.
pitting mom and dad against each other. Say, well,
Oh.
mom kind of said, and her dad would look at her and say, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. And so what is it? I mean, think about it, right? As a speaker, so you're there to motivate and teach us. Okay, so you're teaching me about changing the reaction. That's a great step. Any other secrets you want to share?
There's actually, if the audience wants to go to www.sallyword.com/work with me, there's actually a free. I have a freebie to give away. So it's the 5 steps to discovering you, and
Okay.
it's just a primer, right, of
Yeah.
what I bring to the table. But my power of awakening really is a journey, my own journey, but to help other people discover who they really are. Because from the moment that we're born, we're judged, right? I mean, as soon as that baby is born, they give what I think they call it the APGAR test.
Yes.
Tells you what percentage you're in for weight, height. I mean, you are judged from the minute you are born. And then all through life, people tell you who you should
True.
be and where you should be. And I had a good
How
friend
you
of
should
mine.
be. Yep. Oh, yeah.
I had a friend
Yeah.
that wanted to be an artist in the worst way, and her parents said that you're not going to make any money, be a CPA.
And to
Well,
this day, she regrets that, right?
as a later adult, she regretted it. And so she still kept her day job, but she started incorporating her creative side and started doing her artwork and selling it on the side. And so she gets both. And that's what I like to think. My business of SW Insurance Corp is my thinking cap corporate
Mhm.
side, right? And my writing and speaking is my give back, my feel good, my creative side.
Got it. Yeah. Interesting. So,
I feed both sides, but I just get bored, so I have to. and I love to see change, right? I just got an email from a good friend of mine. She's a fantastic lady, and she'd been following me on Facebook and just got excited about what I was doing and she's excited for me, right? And now she just wrote her first book and she just wrote me an email saying, "Hey, can you be in my next book?" She's got 4 books lined up. And
Wow.
I said, "What a powerhouse. How fabulous is that to watch people just burst from the seams because something has caught them that they can just really just dig into, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned the best 2 days of your life are the day you are born and
And
the
the day
day.
you find out why." Mark
That's
Twain,
right.
I mean, he's a smart man, right?
Really, yes.
But so many of us don't stop long enough to figure out what's truly going to feed us. And we're given one life on this playing field, right? One
Hmm.
life. And so, what are we doing with it? And are we being the best human being that we can possibly be?
Yeah.
Because there's an acronym that I share in one of my books. It's called WORK, WORK. I know it's not a dirty word. Uh, It's W stands for having a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. O is to be organized, whatever that means to you, right? Be organized. R is to build relationships with other people because we never know when we can boost somebody up or they can boost us up. And K is kindness. It costs us nothing to be kind, but people have forgotten how to be
Hmm.
kind. We have a world right now that people have forgotten how to be kind, and they see people that are down and they just want to kick them even more because they can, right? They think they can. All I'm telling you is karma is a really nasty when karma comes back, so be
It's true.
kind.
All
Be
right.
kind.
Thank you so much. And again, if you're just tuning in, Sally Wurr is here joining us. She's a best-selling author. She's a speaker. She's a coach and so much more. Again, it's Sally, WURR.com. You can reach out to her there. And she can also offers a life design guide. So there's so much more to talk about. So starting the speaking, tell me what you want to speak about next.
I can ramble on for lots of hours. I've just been blessed in my life, right? And I say I've been blessed, right, Jill? But I've had just as much negative happen as positive happen because that's the
Mhm.
life balance, right? Um, my daughter was a NICU baby, and I know it was a long time ago. Just seems like it was yesterday, right? And so, in the book "Hold My Crown," which is a book I was a co-author in with Michelle Moras and 18 other women, we share our stories of grit and resilience. Well, my daughter was a NICU baby. She's born 3 pounds 8 ounces. I brought her home at 3 pounds 8 ounces.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
she's a thriving, awesome adult female now, adult woman now, living her own life. But how do you navigate?
Hmm.
And so I share stories from stage and I share stories one on one with people that it does take grit
True.
and
Yeah.
courage to live this life and not to put your head in the sand,
Yeah.
not to put your head in the sand. Hit it head on or as close to head on as you possibly can. But bottom line is that sometimes you need to hear stories of somebody else's tragedies and triumphs in order to not feel like you're on an island by yourself. And that's really what it's all about, right? Is helping people feel like they're the only one that's ever dealt with this situation. You
Hmm.
know, for friends of mine, other friends of mine who have lost their spouses, that are widows or widowers, we don't have the exact same footprint, but we have enough to have the compassion, right? And so when someone's going through that, you have a little bit of an idea of what to do and what not to do. Um, but bottom line is, as I tell people, don't think someone's going to come in and save you.
Yeah.
It's nice to think that knight in shining armor is going to come in and just save the day because that's what you saw on TV.
Nope, doesn't
That
work that way all the time.
sometimes it works where you get help. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't get any help. I certainly have, but I try to remind people that the closest hand for help is attached to your own arm.
Hmm. Help is
And the sooner you learn that the skills that you can survive on your own if you have to, not that you want to or not that you will have to, but you're less disappointed when it doesn't happen. or you get a different reaction than what you think you're going to get.
Well, also, I just want to remind everyone, sallywurr.com. Don't forget, she's here talking to us. Also, a best-selling author. And if you're on the Zoomcast, is that your books in the background?
I
I'm
do
trying
some
to see
of
the
them.
covers. Okay, okay, good.
There's Power of Awakening, Power of Purpose, Hold My Crown, Succeed with Purpose. I have 8 more books that I'm co-authors in that'll be coming out in the next 12 months. A
Yeah,
book of influence, and it's based off of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence Others, and then the book of mentors. And
got it.
it's I'll be co-authoring with those books with people like Brian Tracy and Sharon Lechter, and just a whole pile of really good people that help us navigate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Help us navigate through life, because some of these lessons, some of these some of these mentors have been around for a long time, and the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that they wrote in the 50s still holds true today.
Yeah, it really
So
does.
I think it's just really a matter for me. I want to affect change for people that are looking for change, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're happy with your life, bless you. I am so thankful that you do, and that you're engaged in things that give you peace of mind and that get you excited every day. I mean, every day I wake up and I am
I was going to
excited.
ask, give what should we do? Right? Some people say wake up early. Some people journal. Some people meditate. What are some ideas?
I think you have to choose to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice. Now, I totally get that I was born with a happy gene, right? I mean, I am like this at 5 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. It's just I was born with a gene, that a tool in my toolbox where I look at things on the bright side and my cup is always overflowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I understand that there are people, I mean, I used to get that a lot in my younger days. People used to say, can you just stop being happy?
Like, no, this is you.
If you don't like me, then there's the door. But understand that we're all different, right? So
Correct.
I am an extrovert, and I am an excited extrovert, and I ooze this joy
Mm-hmm.
and this high vibrational frequency. But I'm also cognizant of those people that don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's a lot of people out there that their energy level and their vibrancy level is not fluttering up here like I am in the stratosphere. And people say you should never change who you are for other people. And I said, it's true, you should never change who you truly are, but understand that when you walk into an environment where there's a different level of there's a calmness,
Mm-hmm.
you have to bring yourself a little bit down so that you're not overpowering those people that are in that room. Um, because there's those quiet people that are more introspective, that our high energy vibration exhausts them, and it exhausts them quickly. And so I think that those of us that are at that higher energy level, we have to understand when we're in a smaller group of people,
Yeah.
we have to emulate what's going on. It's like mirroring, right? You
Mm-hmm.
see somebody in a conference that's like this. Well, you might want to do much the same thing, or they're sitting in the front of their seat, or they're leaning back in their chair. It's all about listening and watching the body language and listening. And I tell people all the time, although I talk a lot, is truly God gave us 2 ears and one mouth for a reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when we're looking at hanging out with friends, or we're in the workplace, whether we're in charge or we're somebody that isn't in charge, that is in charge, but just at a different level, that we all have opinions
Yeah.
and we all have knowledge. And if we listen, if we listen to listen versus listen to answer a question, life might go a little bit smoother. But we pigeonhole people and we say, well, they don't have that skill or this skill. That they probably don't need that skill for their job.
Yeah. True.
And not everybody can be the chief. We
Yeah.
need more Indians than we need chiefs.
Absolutely. And can we talk about the coaching that you're doing? What types of things could people benefit from a coach? Could you give us some examples of the things that you can work on with somebody?
You bet. I call myself a life design coach, right? Because I want to work with people and help them find out what they're supposed to be doing. Because if you're spiraling into that abyss, you're not doing something right. And so I like to work on them either one-on-one or via Zoom group Zoom classes or retreats so that we can get down to the nitty gritty. And it's deep conversations that you have internally. You
Mhm.
don't have to share them, although a lot of people do share them with me. I think that goes back to my hairdressing days, right? The best
Yeah.
psychologist you got is the person that
You
does your
talk
hair and
to
makeup.
everyone, you're listen. Yeah. Yeah.
You just do. People tell you things that they wouldn't tell even their own spouse. And I work that, because I have that compassion and that empathy, people are willing to dig a little deeper. And of course, I dig deeper, right? I share with them some of the deepest, darkest secrets that I only recently started releasing because people always saw me as this happy person, and when you share with them some of the gut wrenching stuff that you have to go through, they go, "Ooh." But again, when you get at that level with people, they have a better understanding of how you can help them, how
Mhm.
I can help them, and sometimes it's pointing it out because when you're like in the middle of the forest you can't see the sunshine. And so
No.
when you have somebody coming from that's on the outside looking in and listening, truly listening, there are little things that we can pick up that you might not be aware of.
Mhm.
I picked up a lot of mine because I was doing some really deep journaling during the whole time when my husband was first diagnosed, all the way through a couple years after his passing. I journaled every single day. I got up every morning and I wrote. And it didn't matter what I wrote on. Whatever came to mind is what I wrote on. And whenever you have problems or issues or questions about your life, sometimes you just need to get in a quiet place and write it down, but don't put it in something where other people have access to it, right?
Mhm. Sure.
I don't think what I wrote in my journal is anybody's business but my own. Just like people that have actual physical journals that they write in. Bless them. I'm always afraid someone's going to read it. Not that there's anybody in the house but the cat that's going to read it, but it's just another way of communicating with yourself and finding out, are you in the driver's seat of your life? Really and truly, are you in the driver's seat of your life? Because um, you know, I talk a lot about life rules and stories and stuff, and one of the life rules that I like to talk about is if you don't go after what you want, you're never going to get it.
Mhm.
If you don't go after it, and if you don't ask for, if you don't ask the question, the answer is always going to be no.
True.
I get phone calls all the time. Sally, I know this is a stupid question, but so there are no stupid questions out there. First and foremost, if you have a question and I'm able to give you an answer, I'm going to give you an answer. Like your
Perfect.
children, Jill. I mean, your children come to you because you're the expert, you're the mom.
Mhm.
And they expect you to give them an answer that they're based on their age group that they can understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're here for, right? Is to help each other, whether it's be our young children or our adult children or our friends of friends or whatever. If we have the ability to fix something or to give an opinion on something, we should be doing that.
Yeah.
And so many
Beautifully
people
said.
keep it. So many people keep their knowledge to themselves. They're afraid of being judged. They don't want to share this. I can't believe the number of people I know that don't share knowledge. And I'm going, don't you think that might have helped me step
Somehow
quicker?
down the line. Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I share a story. There was a Rue McClanahan. I think it was
Mhm.
her Emmy speech.
Golden Girls. Yeah.
Yeah, Golden Girls. Love that lady. But a story that I share with my audiences is that early in her career, she was auditioning, right? And she didn't get the part because they said she wasn't photogenic enough. And, I mean, what? And her mom told her a story. Her mom told her, she said, Rue, she says, there are people in your life that are going to give you boosts, and there are going to be people in your life that are going to give you kicks. Take note of who they are, because somewhere down the line, that person that gave you a boost in whatever it is that you're doing in her career as an actress, she was able to boost them and give them a chance.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, for those people that really give you an ugly kick, you might have the opportunity to kick them right back. It's like, see, you told me I couldn't do it, and I did it.
And I did it, exactly.
And so those are fun stories, right? But it's being a human, and we don't always get first place. Mm-hmm. And we have to figure out why we didn't get first place and let it go and move on to the next.
And realize it's okay as long as you tried. It's so true. Try. It's as simple as that. And eventually you'll succeed. And it's words of encouragement, words of inspiration. And it's also about positive mindset, which maybe we can get into more next time, because that's clearly what we're talking about. But yeah, in a nutshell, but we're all out of time. I apologize, Sally. We got to wrap it up. How can we reach out to you?
Best thing to do is go to sallywurr.com/work with me. Get my, 5 steps to discovering you. If you go to my website, it'll have all my contact information. Send me an email, sallywurr.com, or excuse me, sallywurr@gmail.com. Sally, SALLYWURR@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Looking forward to checking it all out. Again, don't forget her books. Go to the website or Amazon. Google her name. You'll find her there. And looking forward to our next conversation. Thank you again. Motivational speaking, coaching, you name it. She does it. We'll talk more hopefully next week. Thanks so much.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.